All right, fellas, we'll finish it off with, of course, the Buffalo Sabres in the to be determined category. And I'll just go really quick into my thoughts on the Sabres, and then you guys can jump in. Look, I think the way to sum up this season has been inconsistency has killed this hockey team this season. Guys, they have not won more than 2 games in a row all season. Wow. I mean, that's ridiculous. Like with a little over 30 games to go, how do you not have a win streak more than 2 games in a row? They've got one right now, and if they get 3 in a row tonight playing Dallas as we're recording this, it'll feel like a friggin' miracle, I tell you, because they just haven't been able to do it all year. And that right there points to how inconsistent this team has been. At this time last year, they were 1 point out of the playoffs. They're 10 points back right now with 33 games to go. But it's been better lately, which is good. And they were 6-4 in their last 10 going into the break, 7-4 in January. But here's the kicker: December 5-8-2. And again, this is what we see with this team every single year. They get off to a good start or maybe a little slow out of the gate. They have that 1 month that kind of ruins them. And again, it's usually like November, December. Like I think last year they had an 8-game losing streak in November, 5-8-2 in December. And now, we're in a position where this team is in a spot where there's no room for error. They have to go on another late push once again to make it close. But the odds are certainly stacked against them. Oh, and by the way, Matthias Samuelsson, I know you guys don't know a ton about him, but he's a big part of that blue line, of course, plays a ton of minutes alongside Rasmus Dahlin, done for the season. He needs surgery. Jack Quinn is out another 8 weeks, so that is rough. And the power play has been abysmal this year. And again, like you have a 1-0 loss to Vancouver at home. You're all over the Canucks, but Thatcher Demko does what he does. But then you have just a pathetic effort in Anaheim against the Ducks, one of the worst teams in the NHL, where, you don't show up for the first 2 periods and you show up in the third and almost get a point out of it. So inconsistency has killed this team, although I could certainly see the Sabres going on a big run late in the year and making it close. If I was a betting man, I would say they're not going to be a playoff team, because even though it's been better as of late, there's just too much ground to make up. Anyway, thoughts on the Sabres before we wrap up?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. We kind of all expected them to take another step and be a playoff team this year. Who knows? Maybe they can do that if they start to actually string some games together. But this team has been very mid in a division that you can't be mid in. Like you can't slide by like you can in maybe the Central or something like that and find some playoff berth. There's teams that can win by playing team defense. We've talked about them tonight. They're playing okay defense. They're limiting shots, but allowing high danger chances and goals. You can score to win. They're not really scoring a lot of goals. Goalies can win games. They've kind of received some poor goaltending this year. So they don't have one of those things that are standing out. They don't have one that has been particularly bad. And it's just, that's not a recipe for success in especially the Atlantic.
Yeah, well said. Yeah.
Totally agree with that case. A lot of mid going on here at every position. And, kind of like you said, for a lot of teams, that would be okay. But in this division, because it's so competitive and because they're one of the teams on the come up, they need to be better than mid in every category, or at least really good in one category to kind of carry. And that's kind of what happened last year. Like, this was a team last year who scored a ton of goals. I don't remember where they finished in terms of the entire league, but I know they were like top 5 for the entire season. It felt like, in terms of goals scored. We knew some regression was going to come for a guy like Tage Thompson. And I look up and down the score sheet for this team, like the guys who have scored their points, and there's a lot of encouraging numbers there, but there's also some discouraging numbers, again, from a guy like Tage Thompson. So a lot of players who are kind of giving you hope for the future, but then some disappointing efforts from guys who you thought were elite now. So it's one of those things.
They were third. They were third in scoring last year.
So there you go. I don't know where they rank right now, but they're not getting it done. They're 17th in expected goals for, and actually I have it here 19th in goals for this season. Yeah. So it's just not working out. But I will say, it's tough that Samuelson's out because he is a big part to their defense. I do think they need to add to their defense if they want to be a playoff team still. But I will say, since coming back from the minors, Devin Levi has been pretty good. And that was a guy, and I guess I can include the entire kind of trio of goalies they have. I wasn't certain on any of those guys coming into the season or how they were going to get it done as a committee, but overall, it's been okay. Like, it's been pretty fine. So a lot of the chatter in Buffalo has been, about adding a goaltender. I don't even know if that's the right move for them, in my opinion, because I think Levi has been great since coming back from the minors.
Well, and UPL, we have to mention him. He's been fantastic the last little while for sure. And, we talk about a guy like Thompson and his regression. Look, his cap hit is really good. He's still on like a 30 goal, 60 point pace, which, hey, for just over $7 million a year is pretty good. But the problem is he set the bar so high for himself with almost having 50 goals last year and having 94 points. But a big part of his regression has been the power play. I mean, it's been absolutely abysmal this year as well. So, it's been one up, one down for this team. But again, very much like Ottawa, young core, locked up for a lot of years, a lot of potential, a lot of talent, and certainly a bright future. So we'll see. These last 33 games are going to tell us a lot about this team.